What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are actually going to continue our coverage over the Squadron Supreme. Now remember, by this point in our coverage, we right now have Nick Fury making his own version of the Squadron Supreme. Because we have to remember that when it comes to this storyline and our point of coverage, it takes place after Ultimate Power. Now remember, Ultimate Power was basically this crossover between the heroes of the Ultimate Marvel Universe and the heroes of the Supreme Power Universe. Now with that being said, at the end of the crossover, Nick Fury got left behind on the Supreme Power Universe. And so with that being said, he's right now creating his own version of S.H.I.E.L.D. on that universe, but on top of that, he got approved to make his own Squadron Supreme team. Because when it comes to this storyline, it takes place 5 years after the ending of Ultimate Power, and the original Squadron Supreme have all disappeared. And so, of course, it gave way for Nick Fury and a wave of new heroes to rise up and form their own team. But here comes the big thing though. At the end of our last video, we saw the return of Hyperion and also Dr. Spectrum. And the question is now, where were they? Because again, it's been 5 years since the ending of Ultimate Power. And so that is the big question at the moment. Now, as we jump into today's storyline, we have to remember that there is a huge connection between Hyperion, but also Dr. Spectrum. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to Dr. Spectrum, we have to remember that when it comes to his powers, it all comes from a crystal, but it is the same crystal that was basically the power source to Hyperion's spaceship that had brought him here to Earth. Now, with that being said, the reason why these two characters were gone for 5 years is because they were trying to figure out the origin of Hyperion. Because we have to remember, we have no idea where he came from. The only thing we know is that he is basically the Superman of this universe, and that is it. But we have no idea where he came from, and so that is why they left. And they tell Nick Fury and other characters in the room right now that they did find a particular planet. Now, when they found this planet, the problem is though, it was dead. It was completely dead. There was no life left on that planet at all. But of course, for Hyperion and also Dr. Spectrum, they believe that this could be the actual planet where Hyperion came from. And the only thing they found was a part of some kind of building or a part of some kind of machine. Either way, when Dr. Spectrum used the crystal as a way to access this piece of a building, it began to show some kind of city. And of course, telling us that there was life once on this planet, and it could be the people of Hyperion. But the problem is though, that's the only thing they got from this piece of a building, just images of the old life of this planet. And the question is right now, what happened to the people, or the possibility that this could be the people of Hyperion, but what happened to them? And so with that being said, with them getting no answers, they came back to Earth. And so that is the moment where you have Nick Fury and Arcania very surprised about the adventure that Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum had. But the big question is right now, okay, what's next for you though? Like, what's next for you guys? Because y'all been gone for 5 years, and you have Hyperion say, well, my idea right now is to do what I always wanted to do when I was on Earth for 25 years, which is that make the Earth better. I want to work alongside with the human race and basically make the Earth better. Now, this is very shocking because when it comes to Arcania, she still believes that when it comes to Hyperion, he's gonna try to take over the Earth. And the reason why she is thinking that is because we have to jump back to the miniseries that was called Supreme Power Hyperion, where we saw a possible future where Hyperion was trying to take over the world, and you had heroes fighting against heroes. But the heroes that was working alongside with Hyperion they were the ones who were actually winning. And so right now, she's afraid that the only reason why he came back is to basically take over the Earth. But at the same time though, she has no proof that's what he wants to exactly do. Now that is the moment where you do have the story remind us that when it came to the Supreme Power Universe, or the Squadron Supreme, the whole idea of these characters were to be a way to represent DC characters, but over in Marvel Comics. So for example, Hyperion is Superman, Nighthawk is Batman, Blur is Flash, and the list goes on and on and on. And every single character was a way for Marvel to say, that character right there represents that DC character in our own book. Now with that being said, when it came to the Supreme Power Universe, after Ultimate Power, we did see a wave of new heroes rise up. And these new heroes are basically a new way for Marvel to say, now we have characters that represent both DC and Marvel characters living in the same universe. Like right on your screen right now, you see a guy known as Bio General. And when it comes to Bio General, he is the Iron Man of this universe. And right now, he's making out with Nail. And Nail is actually the Spider-Woman of this universe. Now, with these two characters right now making out, it just tells us that these two characters are technically right now falling in love. Now, while they're making out, well, that is the moment his mom walks in. And of course, she's very upset with the idea that her son is making out with some girl who looks like a spider freak. And so we did pick up with Hyperion right now going to the White House. And the reason why, because he's meeting up with the president to apologize to her. Now, the reason why he's apologizing, because we have to remember, even though Hyperion was a hero, he was technically a hero only for America. And before he became a real hero in my own eyes, he was more of a military weapon to be used to attack other countries around the world. And so when he left, America felt like, oh my gosh, we just lost our most powerful weapon, but our most powerful protector. Even though America has other heroes or other weapons to use, Hyperion is the strongest person on the planet. And possibly, I don't know why I had a hard time saying possibly, but possibly the most strongest person in the universe. And so right now it's kind of like, okay, you left us and we were somewhat left defenseless. That right there is hard. But on top of that, now you're back and you want to be accepted? No, you're gonna have to work to be accepted back into our eyes as a great hero. Be accepted back into our lives again, and so we can actually trust. And so you have Hyperion say, I'll do that. Now, as he leaves, that is the moment where he is actually confronted by the director of the CIA. Now, this is going to be very huge and lead into a huge problem for this storyline. Now, that is the moment where we actually jump over to the Icarus One astronauts. Now remember, the Icarus One astronauts are basically the Fantastic Four of this universe. Now, with that being said, we also get reminded that there is some in-house drama with this group, because the only female of this group, she is married to another member of the group, but she was cheating on him with another member of the group. And so both guys found out, and right now they're telling her, you have to choose him or choose me. You have to choose one of us. Now, here's the thing though, when it comes to her powers, she can basically make a copy of herself and be in two places at the same time. And so right now they're kind of like, listen, we know about your ability. You cannot use your ability to please both of us. You have to choose one of us, because right now you're being selfish. And so it's a way for them to say, hey guys, this book right here is not all political. We also have some in-house drama as well. And so that is the moment where we actually do jump over to Emil Burbank. Now remember, when it comes to Emil, he is the Lex Luthor of this universe. He is the Lex Luthor to Hyperion. Now with that being said, he is the smartest person on the entire planet, because that is his power. Because when it came to Hyperion's airborne virus that gave other people abilities, it made Emil the smartest person on the entire planet. Now, with that being said, though, when it comes to Emil, we have to remember that at the very beginning of this series, along with Nick Fury, he helped find the Icarus One astronauts. But when they tried to escape, he was knocked out and put into a coma. Now, when he did come out of that coma, he did put on a mask. Now, we have no idea why he put on that mask, but right now he's actually plotting to get revenge against Nick Fury and all the other heroes out there who have active powers. And so right now we see him basically recruiting people. And so then we pick up with Nick Fury and also the president right now leaving the White House. Now, while they're leaving the White House, of course, that is the moment where they are actually stopped by Dr. Spectrum. Now, when it comes to Dr. Spectrum, the reason why he is actually stopping them is to give them a warning, saying, hey, listen, Hyperion is right now meeting up with the CIA director. But on top of that, he's meeting up with other people who are very powerful in different positions when it comes to America's government. And right now, they are talking about the idea of taking over America, getting rid of you, Miss President. And that right there is kind of like, here we go. It's the downward path for Hyperion. He has gone evil. He wants to take over the world. That possible future is now about to happen. And so that is the moment where we actually do pick up with the meeting. We do see Hyperion meeting up with these other people who are in powerful positions in America's government system. And right now they're telling Hyperion, we want you to help us. Help us get rid of the president. Because if you do that right there, bam, we're golden. Because we feel like we can do a better job without her. Because right now, America is going in the wrong direction. And because of that, we feel like the only hope America has if we get rid of her now, so we can step in and make America great again. So right now, we need you to get rid of the president. Now, when it comes to Hyperion, honestly, you can tell he's kind of agreeing with this. Like, hey, you know what? You might be onto something, but I need some time to actually think this through. And so he does leave this secret base to kind of process what he was exactly offered. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to Arcania. Now, this is where things get even worse. Because when we do jump over to Arcania, you have to remember that she can warp reality on a quantum level. Now, with that being said, she's right now meeting up with Amphibian. Now remember, when it comes to Amphibian, she is literally the Aquaman or Aqua Woman of this universe, but at the same time, she is the girlfriend of Dr. Spectrum. And right now you have Amphibian kind of asking Arcania, when is Dr. Spectrum going to see her? Because he was gone for 5 years and they have not talked ever since he came back. And so right now the question is he going to see his girlfriend? Because it seems like they technically never did break up, except that is the moment you have Hyperion come and say, hey, listen, so I was offered to get rid of the president to kind of help, change America, make America better again. But I realized that I want something bigger. I want to get rid of the entire human race. Like, I want to rule over the entire world because I feel like we are the better choice and when it comes to survival of the earth. And what he's saying right now is that if you don't have powers, you're not one of us. And even though you're a human who got your powers by his virus or some kind of other virus that came from the Icarus One spaceship, you are technically one of his people. Because regular humans suck, but power people, nah, they're great. And so it's Hyperion saying, it's time to take over the entire Earth. And so as we jump into the second chapter, of course, that is the moment where you have Arcania kind of confused on what she exactly heard from Hyperion's mouth. Because she's kind of like, wait a second, did you just say you want to take over the Earth? And of course, he's like, yeah, I want to take over the Earth. Because even though you're technically a human, but because you got powers, you're technically like me. We're a completely different race. Everybody else who has powers should join my side, and we should take over the Earth because the Earth would be in a better place with us in charge. Now, he is waiting for an answer, and Arcana does give him that answer by using her powers on him, and of course, it does begin a fight. But then we jump over to Dr. Spectrum. Now, when we do jump over to Dr. Spectrum, we do see him right now with Nick Fury and also the President. And right now, they're on their way over to where Hyperion is at. Except the problem is though, that is the moment where you have Dr. Spectrum get contacted by Kingsley, aka Amphibian, because she does have the ability to contact Dr. Spectrum with her mind. Either way though, she's telling him right now, you might want to get over here because right now Arcania is fighting against Hyperion and it's about to go down. And so he does leave Nick Fury and the President behind. The problem is though, he was the one who was piloting the plane. And so with them gone, it's kind of like, okay, the plane is about to crash. And so you have Nick Fury tell the President, hey, prepare yourself, we're about to hit the ground very, very hard. But then we jump over to the battle between Hyperion and also Arcania. Now, when we do, it's right now really more of Arcania realizing that she messed up because Hyperion is really powerful. He's not someone who can be stopped so easily, especially by someone who has quantum reality warping ability. Like he's able to bounce back just like that. Now she's hoping that Amphibian is going to help her out with this battle. The problem is though, right when it seems like Amphibian is about to help out, you have Dr. Spectrum step in. And when he does step in, he kisses Amphibian. Because we have to remember, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but they have not seen each other for 5 years. And so as soon as she sees her man and they kiss, Amphibian is no longer down to helping Arcania fight against Hyperion. Now that is the moment where we do jump over to Emil Burbank. Now when we do, we see him right now actually talking to 4 new people that he had hired. Because remember, Emil is right now plotting something. Now we have no idea what he is plotting to do, but apparently it is something big down the road. And right now his target is the other power beings in the world, even though he does have some power beings in the room with him right now. Either way, he's saying right now he wants to get revenge against the other power beings. Now the people that he had hired, they are actually planning on betraying him and killing him as well. And so right now he has no idea that these guys are not really down to help him to fight against other heroes in the world. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to one of those craziest dinners I have ever seen in a comic book. Not really, but it's still up there because we do jump over to Bio General, the Iron Man of this universe, and also Neil, the Spider-Woman of this universe, who's right now having dinner with his mom. Because remember, she walked in on them making out and she was freaking out. And the reason why, because she is a overprotective mother, but at the same time, when it comes to this relationship, yeah, it's not good. Because we come to find out, or I forgot, that Neil is actually 17 years old. And when it comes to Bio General, we have no idea his age, but we do know it's beyond 18. It's probably like 21 or higher. And so she's upset with the idea that her son is dating a high school student. And you're kind of like, yeah, you know what? She's onto something, bro. Either way, they do leave the dinner because that is the moment you have Nick say, hey, I need all hands on deck. We gotta fight against Hyperion now. But then we have to jump over to the Icarus 1 astronauts. Now, when we do, guys, this update for these characters are just annoying because when we actually jump over to these characters, you do have them right now arguing about the girl, the 2 who technically were involved with her. And right now they want her to choose to be with one of them. But then she says, listen, I have the ability to clone myself, so why not clone myself to give you guys the ability to both have me? And for some reason, these two guys are like, yeah, you know what? She's right. She's right. We can technically share her, or you get her clone, I get the real one, or I get the real one, you get the clone. It's just hotmess.com. But that is our update for these characters. But then we jump back over to the characters who are right now trying to, or were trying to overthrow the president because they felt like she was ruining America. Either way, they're now freaking out because their game plan was not to have Hyperion over there saying, okay, you know what? I want to rule the world. They just wanted to get rid of the president by using him. But now Homeboy is on a power trip right now. Either way, he does come back to their base. And he said, listen, I don't need you guys anymore. And matter of fact, my goal is to rule the world. And on top of that, I already found some other power beings who are on my side to kind of make sure I'm the one in charge of the entire world. And that is the moment we kind of find out that he now has Shape, Inertia, and Nuke. 3 characters right now on his side. Right now, those 3 characters are technically really powerful. Definitely Shape and Nuke, especially Shape. But either way though, now you have sides being chosen. And right now it's Hyperion trying to build up his army of power beings to take over the world. But then we have to jump over to Chicago. Now, when we do jump over to Chicago, well, we pick up with Nighthawk. Now, remember, when it comes to Nighthawk, he is technically the Batman of this universe, but on top of that, he's more brutal than Batman in the way of he will kill you actually if you're a bad guy. And matter of fact, we do see him right now killing someone who is going around doing some bad things towards children. Now, right after he's about to kill that person off, or actually, I think he does kill that person off, well, that is the moment he is confronted by Blur. Now, remember, guys, Blur is the Flash of this universe. And of course, it's Blur right now telling Nighthawk what Hyperion had told Blur about the idea that superpower beings should take over the Earth. Now, right now, you have Nighthawk trying his best to tell Blur, do not join his side. It's not our battle. It's not our fight. But unfortunately, you do have Blur say, you know what? I might join Hyperion's side when it comes to this war between humans and power beings. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to some people who work for Nick Fury. So Bio General, Nail, the Spider-Woman, and also Old Soldier, who is technically the Captain America of this universe. Either way right now, they're guarding the body of Mangog. Now remember, Mangog was one of the 2 giants we saw at the end of our last video, but he was actually taken in by Emil Burbank for some kind of experiment. Now, he was able to escape Emil's container, but the thing was though, he began to attack the base of Nick Fury's superhero team. Now, luckily he was defeated, but he was quote unquote killed off. And so right now you have these heroes guarding his body. Now that is the moment they're confronted by Wolf, the ruler of the 4 winds. Now he is the other giant, and right now you have Wolf right now coming to them saying, listen, I'm going to revive Mangog. But the reason why I'm doing that because a war is coming soon. And when it comes to this war, you're going to want to have all hands on deck to actually win this war. And of course, he's talking about fighting against Hyperion. Now that is the moment where we do pick up with Nick Fury. Now when we do see Nick Fury right now trying to head over to where Hyperion was at when he fought against Arcania. So the problem is though, Hyperion's been gone for a good period of time. And Nick Fury had no idea that he was actually gone. And so right now you have Arcania appear in his car to warn him that, hey listen, Hyperion is no longer there, but things have gotten worse when it comes to Hyperion. Now, when it comes to Nick Fury, he's wondering, okay, how did things get even worse when it comes to Hyperion? What did he do? And she tells him, well, listen, he just appeared right on top of the White House. And you're like, okay, man is serious. He is going to kill off the president or force the president and other leaders across the world to basically give up. This man is serious with the idea of taking over the earth. Now that is the moment where we do jump into the final chapter for today's storyline. Now, when we do, we actually pick up right now with the president freaking out. Because when it comes to Nick Fury, he's in California. She's in Washington. She's in the White House. And she just got word that Hyperion is right now floating right above the White House. And so, of course, she is freaking out and wondering what in the world should she do. And of course, right now, you do have her being moved into a protective bunker just in case Hyperion does go off. But unfortunately, this is Hyperion. He is the Superman of this universe, meaning that that bunker ain't gonna do much in stopping him. Either way right now, it's Nick Fury saying he's trying to send help to basically stop Hyperion from doing anything crazy, like killing off the president. And that is the moment where you do get the book or the storyline begin the process of seeing different heroes who are technically saying themselves, okay, we are going to stand up against Hyperion. We're going to make sure all this nonsense actually stops, which honestly means we're about to get into an actual war, because we jump over to some characters who work for Nick Fury. So like Bio General, also Neil, the Spider-Woman, and the two giants, and also Old Soldier, who is technically the Captain America of this universe. And they're agreeing to go fight against Hyperion. And honestly, it doesn't stop there, because we do pick up with the Icarus One astronauts. And right now, they're also deciding to join the fight against Hyperion. Now, tell you the truth, this is their best moment in the storyline, because honestly, every single other time we actually pick up with these characters, they're having their in-house drama because Homegirl was a cheater. But now it's more of them saying, okay, you know what? Let's put our drama to the side and try to help out the world. We have to fight against Hyperion, because right now he's trying to rule the entire world. Now we do jump over to Nighthawk and Blur. Now when we do, it's really more of Nighthawk telling Blur to leave everything alone. Like basically, do not choose a side in this mess. Now the reason why Nighthawk is saying that to Blur, because, well, mainly because when it comes to Nighthawk, when he looks at both sides are characters who are mostly white. And he feels like it's their problems, not black people problem. And when it comes to Blur and also Nighthawk, they're black. And he's kind of like, dude, no, this is not our mess to deal with. But at the same time, it's Blur kind of thinking maybe it is our mess to deal with, because I am a superpower being. I must choose a side, fight against my very first friend Hyperion, or actually help him fight against other people who are trying to oppose him. But what if Hyperion is right? But what if he's wrong? Like right now, Blur is having a hard time deciding, but for Nighthawk, it's more of, do not join this battle, because you are a black man that does not deserve to be in their mess at all. And then we see that word is beginning to spread fast across the world, because then we pick up with Emil Burbank. Now, Emil at first had no idea what Hyperion is doing right now in Washington or what he did in Malibu. But right now you have Emil kind of like, okay, this is kind of getting more interesting, because one of his underlings just told him, hey man, listen, Hyperion is making his move. And right now he's floating right above the White House. Like things are going to pop off very soon. And the question is though, what's going to happen after things literally do pop off? And we cannot forget that technically all this started when you had those few characters that were in some different powerful positions in the American government system going to Hyperion saying, hey man, listen, we feel like you are the best option to help us get rid of the president so that we'll be able to make America great again. And so thanks to them, now they have Hyperion thinking about technically ruling over the world. And right now they're freaking out because they feel like they're at fault. In reality, they are at fault. In reality, they could bring a huge war that could cause a lot of deaths to innocent people across the world now. And so then we jump over to Dr. Spectrum and Amphibian. Now, when we do, you do have these two characters right now trying to figure out what is their next move. Like, what should they do? Because right now they're thinking about actually staying where they are. But at the same time, they want to fly over to Washington and participate in that big battle. And so right now the question is, whose side are they on? And of course, it seems like they could be on Hyperion side. But either way, you do have the two characters share a kiss because these two characters have not seen each other for a very long time. But then they fly over to Washington. And so with the board technically being set now, we have to jump over to Hyperion. And when we do, we see Hyperion right now still floating over the White House. And right now, it's Hyperion and the heroes who had chose his side, so Inertia, Shape, and Nuke, right now just at the White House, but it's also them saying, you have a choice. Go ahead and give up or try to fight against us. But right now, you are going to lose the battle because we'll make sure that you guys actually do lose the battle and we do take over the world. And the world will belong to people who have powers. And so right now, it's Hyperion saying, do the right thing. Go ahead and give up. Because if you try, it's only going to make things worse for you guys. Not us, for you guys. But we didn't get into the final battle, the big battle, the last big thing for Washington, D.C. There's a good reason why to the last big thing in Washington, D.C., guys. You'll see why. But we actually get into the big battle where you do have the heroes who work for Nick Fury arrive. Now, when they do arrive, of course, they fight against Hyperion and his forces. So Inertia, Shape, and also Nuke. But while the fight goes on, you have other characters just jumping in the battle. So for example, Dr. Spectrum and also Amphibian, they jump in. But of course, they're on Hyperion side. And when it comes to Nick Fury side, you have Old Soldier, you have Bio General, you have the two Giants, and you also have Neil. But then you also have the astronauts arrive in the battle. And then you have Blur arrive in the battle, and Arcania. And you see what's happening right now? You have all these different characters just jumping in left and right. Now, if you're wondering, hey Fresh, where is Zarda? Okay, Zarda is actually over in the Ultimate Marvel universe because when it came to Ultimate Power, because Nick Fury stayed here, someone had to go over there. It was a weird trade. And so Nick Fury stayed and she went over there. And so that's why she's not here in this battle. And Nighthawk, of course, is not going to join this battle because why would he? He's a regular guy who hates both sides and also he would die very quickly. Either way, because you have all these different kinds of energies just being thrown all over the place, you then have this huge chain reaction. Now, this chain reaction is very, very huge. And the reason why I'm saying that, guys, because it caused an entire explosion. So big that Washington, D.C., not just the White House, Washington, D.C., has been wiped out, completely gone, just like that. And when you have Nick call in, you're like, hey, what happened? You have Bio General tell him, Nick, it's bad. Washington is gone. But then across the world, we see someone else who had heard the news about what happened in Washington, and that person right now is saying, it's now our time to go. And you're kind of like, oh, we're not done yet. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit that like button down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.